And that's this idea that there's just jobs that Americans won't do. I find that, well, it's specious in the fact that, well, it sounds like it could be true. It's a silly thing to say, and it's got a tinge of racism to it, or at least some sort of supremacy there. But I was going to talk about this anyway. Maria Cordona on MSNBC.
If the incoming Trump administration goes through this, here's the people that they're going to go after. They're going to go after your kids' classmates. They're going to go after your delivery guy. They're going to go after the people who take care of your kids. They're going to go after the people who work in restaurants. They're going to go after the business owners in your community. They're going to go after the people who work and who own the farmers markets that you love going to on weekends. This is going to be a snapshot of incredible pain and cruelty.
There's no pain or cruelty in enforcing the law any more so than if your dad robbed a bank. It is going to be painful and feel cruel to your family that you're going to spend Christmas without your dad, but we're just enforcing the law. You shouldn't have robbed the bank. So these laws, I don't feel like they deserve any sort of special treatment. Treat them like any other law. Just enforce them. And if families get broken up, well, that's what happens when you break laws. And for the rest of it, when they say, well, the people that are going to be gone are some of your kids' classmates or some business owners or people that cut your lawn or stuff, it's not only do I not think that's a bad thing, that's good. That's the point. I don't do what? Because they have a job, they're immune to having the laws enforced against them? Hell yeah, I'm okay with that. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like when they make that argument, they feel like they're slam dunking the basketball, but it feels like a straw man. It's like, no, that doesn't bother me at all. Well, the guy that cut your lawn's going to be gone. It's like, why do y'all go there? Don't you love how the media also just shrugged off the drastic over-enforcement of laws when it came to J6ers, people who just loitered through the Capitol, without touching anything? They were tracked down all over the country. It was sort of a mass deportation effort. They managed to find all those people using facial recognition and cell phone data. They were sending teams out to Florida and Texas and all these other states to go round up all these people for what they did on January 6th. We can do something similar for illegals here. So we do have precedent for large roundups like this for people who weren't really doing anything bad. But yeah, some of them were your gardener on January 6th. Some of them were your construction worker or whatever these other jobs you say Americans won't do. You weren't bothered by that? Oh, no, it's cruel and painful to what? Enforce the laws on the January 6ers? Was there an argument there? Oh, I didn't hear that. Must have missed that episode of MSNBC. I'll go back and check the archives. But there's no such thing as a job Americans won't do. And that's a terrible thing to say because it betrays a deep ignorance of economics, number one. And number two, it mixes in some good old-fashioned democratic racism in there. Because I would go be a roofer tomorrow. Garrett would quit the James Show and go be a roofer tomorrow if it paid $1 million a year. You probably would too. I'd quit my job right now. I'd be roofing the hell out of some houses around here. Okay, so let's talk about that. It doesn't pay $1 million a year, so that's fantasy. All right, what if it paid $500,000 a year? What if it paid the same as you make now? What if it paid minimum wage? And you find out really quick that there's no such thing as a job Americans won't do. There's just a job Americans won't do for a too low of a price. There is a price floor on that labor, and illegals can undercut it. Another crazy part about that argument is it feels racist. Like, Americans are above menial jobs like that. We need to bring in Mexicans to do it. What the heck? Why are y'all talking about Mexicans like they're some sort of like overseas labor pool? Like, I don't know. What's the deal? This is the second time they've done this. Democrats just go overseas, pick some people of color, bring them in here to be their workforce. Didn't work out good the first time, did it? Slavery. That's what I was talking about there. But it also kind of acts like white and black Americans, they're just too prissy to be a roofer. Ugh, we couldn't handle it. We're not tough enough. We're too big of babies. We're too soft. All right, who do you think cuts the grass in Maine? Who do you think cuts the grass in Wyoming or West Virginia, where less than 2% of the population is Hispanic? I got to live up in Northwest Oklahoma for just 1 year. It is almost all white people. In fact, it was very boring and it kind of freaked me out. I was like, what y'all do with all the black people? And they're like, there's not any. Well, there's two. But you know what happens? Up in the middle of nowhere, Northwest Oklahoma, in a little town called Woodward, the person who cuts your grass, they're white. The person who gives you your food at the drive-thru, they're white. When you go to a restaurant, everyone in the kitchen, you're not going to believe this. White people actually do those jobs. They're not above them. Neither are black Americans. There's nothing special about people based on the color of their skin. that makes them better or worse than others. That's literally the definition of racism. Stop it. It's gross. And it's economically illiterate. So yeah, there's no such thing as jobs Americans won't do. Mass deportations, go ahead. If they broke the law, get out of here. Mark Cuban said, you're going to take a 30 grandma who's been here for 30 years and send her back? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's the rule. That's the law. You rob a bank 30 years ago, you still get to keep the money?